wrestling team. Amnesty International says he was denied, quote, adequate defense and forced to make confessions. So I want to bring in CBS News contributor and Iranian activist Masih Alinejad. So let's talk more about this. Thanks for joining us. First and foremost, why would a government target athletes specifically? What makes them uniquely powerful or threatening compared to other citizens?
Because athletes are not athletes in Iran. They are the role model and heroes of millions of people. When an athlete join the uprising and say no to regime, it breaks the propaganda tool of the entire regime. Athletes and sport is the heart of a nation. And this regime is wounded because of the mass uprising. That's why they're targeting the heart of the nation. Look, it is very heartbreaking because 3 of them were executed in Qom, and 2 of the protesters were executed in other cities. And Saleh Mohammadi was only 19 years old. But listen, I really want to name them all because this is very important. Javidnam Saleh Mohammadi, only 19 years old. Javidnam Mehdi Qasemi. Javidnam Saeed Davari. Javidnam Daniel Karamati. Javidnam Mohsen Azimnia. Their crime, peacefully taking to the street and protesting against the regime. And that's why the regime executed them, because they want to show their Iranian people, set up an example and tell them that if you take back to the street again, we will execute you. That's the Islamic Republic.
A stern message, very emotional message to those. What do these cases signal about where Iran is headed, though? Do actions like this signal strength and control or insecurity and fear of losing public support?
That's a very good question. Fear. Which government? You tell me. A normal government never is scared of an athlete simply saying no to, tyranny. A normal government never gets scared of a woman showing her hair. A normal government never fear a teenager simply dancing and posting the video on Instagram. Normal government never have fear of unarmed people taking to the streets. They are scared of their own people. And let's be very clear. When President Trump actually said that the Iranian regime told him that they're going to stop hanging more than 800 innocent protesters, we all knew that this is a big lie. So this regime is weakened now. They are wounded. And that's why they first taking revenge to their own people. Second, they want to send a signal to President Trump and the rest of the world that this desperate regime is willing to do anything to stay in power. That's why I'm calling on President Trump. I'm calling on global athletes right now, because this is the right moment. If the world keep quiet, they will hang more protesters. You know why? Because right now, my team is working and they're telling me that more than 100 athletes are in prison and they're waiting to be executed. I myself, 3 years ago, I launched a campaign called United for Navid when Navid Afkari was executed by the same regime. President Trump was the only one actually named Navid Afkari. Now we need his voice again. And now we need the voice of athletes in America again to stand with the people of Iran, because otherwise they will turn the mass arrest to mass executions.
Let me ask you this. What risks do members of Iran's women's national soccer team face if they openly protest or refuse to comply with expectations of the state?
The Iranian regime using sport as a tool to whitewash their crimes. That's in the playbook of all dictators. They know how to use sports to send a signal to the rest of the world and saying that this is a normal country. It's not, because they're using the soccer players wearing hijab to normalize Islamism, Islamic barbaric laws. That's why the soccer players in Australia, they actually asked for asylum, but they put pressure on their family. They detained their family members. They threatened them, saying that we arrest you. They threatened them by rape, execution. They made them to go back to Iran. And now they put the headscarf again on their head. You can compare to those 2 pictures. One picture of soccer players in Australia, biggest smile on their face, freedom. The hair was shown and the pictures in Iran, forced hijab, bringing them on TV, state television, to praise the regime. You know, you need to hear the story of the soccer player Shiva Amini. She said it very, very beautifully and painfully. The guilt they